Hello everyone, thank you for joining me for this month's Currently Inked. I have 10 pens here. The first is a palette Super 200, and this is considered a click filler, and I'll show you what that means in a little bit. This is a Sailor pocket pen. This is very similar to the Palette Elite E95S. We have a Galen and Narwhal Original, a Moonman C1, a Moonman or Majohn M800, a Montegrappa Elmo, a Penlux Masterpiece Delgado, and this is in the Peacock pattern, a Filcao Silvia, a Duke Charlie Chaplin, and a Leonardo Momento 0. For this month, I tried to step out of my comfort zone a little bit. I noticed in last month's video I was using a lot of fine point nibs and a lot of blue and dark green inks. So I wanted to get away from that a little bit, and this was my attempt. So this is the first pen we have up, the Palette Super 200. And this pen is from about the 1960s. I bought this from Anderson Pens. This also gives me some vibes of the Palette Elite E95S. It's just a hair longer. I can show you. It's next to an E95S. So it's a hair longer. Well, a little bit more than a hair longer, but it is longer. I'm using my trusty black and red notebook, and this is the nib. And back there it says Palette Super 200, and just unscrew it at the section there, and this is the filling mechanism. You just move that back and forth, and I assume there's a sack or something in there, and it just fills it up. Unfortunately, I don't think I cleaned this out well enough because the ink is darker than it's supposed to be. So I use Pelikan Turquoise, but it's quite a bit darker. This posts nicely. So this is the Palette Super 200, and this is the, I say click filler, it's actually switch filler. And this is a fine 14 karat, and the ink, as I said, is Pelikan Turquoise. And this is what the swatch actually looks like. So you can definitely see I have some dark blue left over probably. This is a nice smooth nib. Doesn't really flex very much, if at all. But a nice, very smooth writer. And writes nicely in reverse. Again, this is from the 1960s. And it says Palette E there on the cap. The capping mechanism is very similar to, has a similar feel to the Elite E95S. So that's that one. Then we have another pen that's more closely aligned with the Elite. This is the Sailor pocket pen. And you can see the Elite, the E95S is just a little bit longer. Just a little bit. But these feel very similar. pretty much the same. So there's the nib on this one. And so this is the Sailor. This is also a fine 14 karat. And the ink in here is Diamine Meadow. I never thought I'd use this ink because I didn't really like the way it looked in the bottle. It looked a little bit too light, but it's not bad on paper. And then this pen, I think it works pretty well. So that's Meadow, Diamine Meadow. And the pen, it does have a little bit of bounce, but this pen is very scratchy. It needs some work. The nib definitely needs some work. And it doesn't do anything really in reverse. Definitely need to work on that nib. It's pretty scratchy. But definitely has some potential. So there's the Sailor. Just says Sailor. No other markings on it. What does it say back here? Oh, it says 212 back here. So it's a Sailor 212. Next pen we have is the Galen and Narwhal Original. This is the demonstrator with rose gold trim. So it has a nice rose gold nib there, and rose gold trim. It says Narwhal, and it says Galen leather right there. It's a piston filler, holds a good amount of ink. I don't post this because it does interfere with the piston knob. So this is a Galen Narwhal. Original, and this is a broad nib, broad steel nib, very smooth. And the ink in here is my trusty Diamine Writer's Blood. You can see how wet it is. I've already smeared it. So Diamine. Very wet. Does have a little bounce to it, a little give to it. On cue, my dog is snoring in the background. Very nice in reverse. It's a nice fine point in reverse. The broad nib is okay. It's just not something that I reach for. I also have a medium, this in a medium, but I just wanted to give a broad a try. It's okay. Not my favorite, but it's okay. So next we have a Moonman Majohn C1. This is an eyedropper, holds a lot of ink. There's the Moonman nib. So, Moonman C1. And this is a fine steel. The ink in here is Otto Hutt Red Roses. I kind of stayed in my comfort zone with the red roses and the writer's blood, but I tried. In reverse, it's okay in reverse. A little scratchy, but it's okay. Reverse, and there's the red roses. Very nice ink. And one thing that I like about, I have this C1 and then I also have the S5. Both of these are eyedroppers. And with the Galen pen, you can see that none of these pens have any leakage in the cap. So these have been very good. I've had these two for quite a while. And this one not only for a few months, but these have been close to a year. And my Leonardo, which costs more than all of these, has a lot of leakage in the cap. And I have the yellow version of this one that also leaks. So it's not always how much pens cost. You can get although this is a very good pen, I just don't understand why these leak so much in the cap. But these are all trusty, and I knock these around. I take them to work with me, and they've been good. So the next pen, we have another Moonman, and this is the M800. And this is the amber version. So we have the Moonman M800 amber. And this has a fine, and this is a box steel nib. And the ink in here is Visconti Sunflowers. And this is another ink that I was like, there's no way I'm going to like this. But not bad. I think this would be better in a broader nibbed pen, probably. Not this. This pen is a little dry. But this is what the swatch looks like. Visconti Sunflowers. And this is part of the Van Gogh series of ink. But it looks okay in this pen. It's just very dry. So if I put this ink in a medium, I think it would be a little bit better for me. This pen does very nice in reverse. You can hear it's a little scratchy, but very nice. The Bach nib is an upgrade. So there's the Bach nib. It's an upgrade over the regular Moonman nib. But the Moonman, I have the purple and the blue versions of this pen as well, and the Moonman nib is just fine. So that's the M800. And here we have the Montegrappa Elmo. And this was a pen from my Trufe monthly box. Probably not a pen that I would have picked because of the color, but it's a very nice. I really like Montegrappas. So this is the Montegrappa. And this may be an Elmo 01 or something. I think they have numbers. And this is also a fine steel. And the ink in here is Monteverde, Erinite. And Erinite is part of the Gem series of inks. And I didn't think I would like this ink either, but it's okay. Another stiff nib. Reverse is okay. Not great, but it's okay. So here's Monteverde Erinite. I think it's a pretty good match with the color of this pen. So there's the beautiful Montegrappa nib. Feed. It's a nice pen. The color has grown on me a bit. So that's Elmo. And the next pen is a recent purchase. This is the Penlux. And this is the Masterpiece Delgado. And this is the Peacock color. I just love the Peacock color, so that's why I grabbed this. The greens and the browns and the oranges. So I'll have to do a review of this pen. So that's the nib, the feed. It has this neat kind of a catchy, like bouncy catch in it. I think that they use it to make sure it's sealed tight. I'm not sure what it is in there, but it kind of bounces. But that's the Penlux. Penlux Masterpiece. Let me wake my dog up. Delgado. I can't concentrate with all that snoring. Peacock. I have important work I'm doing over here. Pipe down. And so this is a medium steel. And the ink in here, it's a beautiful ink. I was so excited to see that Diamine released their Inkvent 2022 inks, because I love the spruce, and I also love the serendipity, if I can say it. Inkvent 2022. And she's back to snoring. And here is the Diamine Serendipity. Very beautiful ink. Has some shimmer in there. There's some shimmer in there. And this pen writes beautifully. It's a beautiful medium. Kind of a thick medium. A little thicker than I would usually go for, but I love this pen. I love everything about this pen. So there's the, you can see the, oh yeah, it has some sheening going on there. But yeah, this is a nice pen. Oh, this is, and it's a piston filler. It doesn't hold very much ink, but it is a piston filler. But I think you can post it. Yeah, it does post. It has that same kind of catch when you post it. And it posts well past the piston knob, so there's no catching on the piston knob. And I also like the kind of the matte finish to the trim there. Very nice pen. I really like this one. So next up, we have the Filcao Silvia, and this is a button filler. You just depress this button here and it creates some pressure in there. It fills up. Very easy to clean, very easy to ink up. I'm not sure how, I don't think it holds very much ink, but it's very easy to fill and to clean. So that's a Filcao, Italy. And this did come from an Italian seller from eBay. I first saw the Filcao on Pensane's channel, so I was very curious and saw this on eBay and decided to give it a try. This pen works a lot better with wetter inks. I had a jar ink in here and it wasn't very good, but this is a lot better with a wetter ink. So this is a Filcao Silvia. We have a fine steel nib. The ink in here is Waterman Harmonious green. Nice ink. It's a pretty stiff nib, but it does have some shading on the downstroke at least. And it's never usable in reverse. So that's a Filcao Silvia. It's a pretty small pen. See, compared to the E95S, it's just a little bit taller than the E95S. And this is the Waterman Harmonious green. It's a nice green. I'm enjoying it in this Filcao. That's a Filcao Silvia. And next we have the Duke Charlie Chaplin. It's a very quirky pen, just like Charlie was. It's shaped like his body, his barrel body. And here you have Duke on the cap band, and it has his shoes, his hat, and the top of it's almost shaped like a hat, and you have a tie here. Then again you have his barrel body. And this is a very heavy pen, but it does post nicely. Just snaps on there. And this is a bent nib. It was a little bit too bent for me. I unbent it a bit just to make it a bit finer of a line. So this is a Duke Charlie Chaplin. I have another Duke pen, and that one's also very heavy. This is a bent steel nib, and again I unbent it a little bit. I probably need to tweak it a little bit because it's railroading there a little bit. And the ink in here is Birmingham Pen Company, and this is Bordeaux, which is kind of a purplish gray, I would say. You can see it's railroading there. But that's me. I just need to tweak it a little bit. I was really aggressive when I unbent it, so it probably just needs a little tweaking. There's a nice converter in here that's included. Very nice, says Duke. But very nice pen. Feels very quality. Again, very heavy, but very nice. And I bought this on Amazon. It's widely available. And this is the Birmingham Pen Company Bordeaux swatch. And last up is the the Leonardo Momento Zero. And this is a stub nib. So there's a stub nib, which I just cannot get used to. It has a blind cap. It's a cartridge converter filler. I'm just not a stub person. I tweaked this nib as much as I could, and I don't know. So this is the Leonardo Momento Zero. And this is a 1.1, and this is a steel. The ink in here is Monteverde, Topaz from their Gem series. And this is a so-so ink. Oops. It's okay. It's just, this pen is just not very inspiring for me. It does write pretty good in reverse. I think I'm going to get a different nib for this pen. I see that Gold Spot has some, so I've done all I can. I just don't care for stubs. But all in all, it's a very nice pen other than the nib for me. But that is a Leonardo Momento 0. And this is the Monteverde Topaz. And that concludes my currently inked for the month of June. Thank you all for watching and for putting up with my dog snoring. I hope you're all doing well. And until next time, everyone take care.